What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ravi Wadden, and in today's video, I want to talk about whether you should lease or finance a 2025 BMW M3 Competition xDrive. So, in my opinion, or for my real-world situation, I would rather lease this vehicle, and in this video, I'm going to explain why. So, the first thing what we're going to do is we'll head over to DriveMatch.com and use the DriveMatch calculator. So, DriveMatch, as you can see, is a company that I co-founded where you can get pre-negotiated lease deals, but we also developed a product called the DriveMatch calculator where you can structure your lease deals and your finance deals exactly like a car dealership would. So it's going to pull the residual values if you're leasing, it's going to pull the money factors if you're leasing, it's going to pull all of the incentives and rebates that you qualify for whether you're leasing or financing. And if you're financing, it's going to pull your base APR, and it's going to pull any incentives and rebates that you may qualify for based on your zip code. So it's a fantastic tool, and we'll use that tool, and then I'll show you the monthly lease payment. We'll compare it to the monthly finance payment, and I'll show you why I would rather lease it, because there's a couple other things that come into play as to, for the reason why I would lease it. And then what we'll do is we'll also run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this BMW M3. And my 1.25% rule of leasing is a simple value metric. It's a simple calculation where you take the effective monthly payment on a lease and divide it by the vehicle's MSRP. And if you get a number over 1.5%, that typically is a vehicle that you don't want to lease. If you get under 1.5%, that's a good lease deal. Under 1.25% is a great lease deal, and under 1% is an amazing lease deal. And this M3 actually comes in at over 1.5%, but I'll still lease it, and will explain why over the course of this video. I'm going to make this, try to make this as quick of a video as possible and just really kind of run through it. I already have the calculator preloaded, so it shouldn't take very long. But if you have any questions about car leasing or about DriveMatch or about this BMW lease deal, let me know in the comment section below. And if you want me to do more videos like this on different cars, also let me know in the comments. Thank you all for watching. Let's go ahead and jump into the computer behind me. So for this video, let's assume that I'm shopping for this 2026 BMW M3 Competition xDrive that's for sale near me at BMW of Bellevue. You'll see that this car has an MSRP of $94,990. I'm not going to get into all of the options that this car has. All I'm going to do is just copy the VIN number, and then I'll go over to the DriveMatch calculator, and as you can see, I already have the VIN number pasted. Now, we're going to select lease. The vehicle automatically pulls up. The MSRP you have to manually load. I manually loaded it, $94,990. I'm going to assume a 2% discount. Now, a lot of people think you can't get, discounts on these cars. I think 2%, maybe you can get it, maybe you can't. I'm going to go with a 2% discount, which makes the selling price $93,090. My zip code is 98101. All you do is click on Get Programs, and it's going to pull up your new vehicle special lease rates. Here's the lease rates right here. As you can see, on a 36-month term, you're looking at a 0.0024 money factor, which is an equivalent to a 5.76% APR. For lease residuals, we're going to go with a 36-month lease that allows for 12,000 miles a year, and the base residual is 56%. Again, the DriveMatch calculator pulls this directly from the manufacturer, and it also preloaded and pulled the money factor directly from the manufacturer. So it's 0.0024, as I already mentioned, which is a 5.76 APR. Let me see if I can make this bigger. And it pulls so when you're shopping for a car, now you know what the base money factor is. So if the dealer does mark up the money factor, you'll know, because the DriveMatch calculator will tell you what the base money factor is. We also do not qualify for any incentives. We have these two incentives here. If you lease, I don't qualify for either of them. BMW has a acquisition fee of $925, which this preloaded. I assume the dealer fee of $1,000, and then title, license, and registration fee of $1,200, just because license registration is very expensive here in Seattle, Washington. Now, it's going to automatically pull in my tax rate based on my zip, which is 10.25%. And then for my due at signing amount, I selected first month's payment due at signing. So my total due at signing is $1,723. And as you can see here on the right-hand side, my total due at signing is $1,723. And then my final monthly payment is $1,723. So first month's due at signing, and then your monthly payment is $1,723. Now, what we're going to do is scroll all the way back up to finance so I can show you how I plugged in the finance numbers. Same VIN number. And as soon as you plug in the VIN number, everything else carries over from leasing, like the discount, the selling price, the zip code, and it's going to pull in all of the APRs that BMW is currently offering. So as you can see, it has, for finance, you have military select rates. So on a 72-month term, for example, you're looking at 6.78%. You have your standard rates, So on a 72-month term, you're looking at 7.04%. And then you have your new vehicle special retail rates. So at 72 months, you're looking at 5.69%. I selected new vehicle special rate because I have tier 1 credit. Again, I'm doing this based on my profile. I selected a 72-month term, and it tells you the base APR. Again, you'll be able to see if a dealer is marking up your APR because the Drive Match calculator will pull the APR, and this alone can save you thousands of dollars. On a 60-month term, it's 5.49%. I just went with a 72-month term for the sake of this video. And then you'll see the finance rebates, listed here. I do not qualify for any of them. I assume the same $1,000 dealer fee, the same title license registration fee of $1,200. And then I assumed a down payment of $1,723. I did that because that's my money down on the lease, and that way we're comparing apples to apples. Now, if you look over here on the right-hand side, we already went over my lease monthly numbers, but as you can see, the finance monthly numbers with $1,723 down, your monthly payment is going to be $1,713. So about $10 less than leasing. So from a total out-of-pocket cost, just strictly based on payments and down payment, you're going to pay a little bit less, so about $360 less if you were to finance this car over leasing this car. Now what I want to do is run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this BMW. So what I'm going to do is take the effective monthly payment, which is $1,723 a month, and divide it by the MSRP of this BMW, which is $94,990. I'll multiply this by 100 to make it 8%, and you get 1.81%. So again, anytime you get a number over 1.5%, that's typically a vehicle that I would rather finance rather than lease. Under 1.5% is definitely a vehicle that you want to lease. It's what I consider a good lease deal in terms of value. Under 1.25% is a great lease deal in terms of value, and under 1% is an amazing lease deal in terms of value. And this BMW comes in at over 1.5% at 1.81%. But in my opinion, I would still lease this vehicle. And here's why. So the first reason I would lease this M3 is because of depreciation, right? And you have an MSRP of $94,990. And then we just don't know what the depreciation is going to be. So with the lease, I know what my total out of pocket is going to be. I won't have any surprises. If I want to keep the car for less, for 3 years, let's say I finance it, keep the car for 3 years and want to trade it in, I don't have to worry about negative equity. If I want to get rid of the car in 6 months or 8 months or 9 months, I can do that by putting it on a website like Lease Trader and getting rid of it. Whereas if you financed it, you'd probably have to pay a hefty out of pocket because in the first 6 to 9 months, you're really in the steep part of the depreciation curve. Okay. And then also when you lease this vehicle, you don't have to worry about gap insurance because gap insurance is included in the lease. And, you don't have to worry about diminished value, right? So if you get an fender bender in this BMW M3, if you financed it, now you have a fender bender on your vehicle history report. That's going to impact the value, maybe $3,000, maybe $5,000, maybe more. Now, if you lease it, at the end of the lease, as long as you get the car properly repaired by, insurance standards, you can just return that car and not have to worry about the diminished value. So you get that protection. And the other reason I would lease this BMW M3 is if we go back to lease, I think the residual value on this vehicle is quite low at 56%. So if we take the MSRP of $94,990, $94,990, and multiply that by 0.56, you get $53,194. That means that at the end of this lease, you can buy this BMW M3 for $53,194. And, based on what the M3 market is today, it's a really hot market. These cars are holding their value. I think that at the end of this lease term, I have $5,000, $6,000, maybe $10,000 of positive equity. So either that brings the effective cost of the lease way down after 3 years, or I can use that equity towards my next BMW or my next car, or I can just buy the car and keep it. And, I have to pay sales tax on this purchase price, but then I can keep it for as long as I'd like. And I walk into a car that I already have positive equity in. Now, the other reasons, if you wanted to finance it, like let's say if you just knew right off the bat that you wanted to keep this car for 10 years, you just want to drive it into the ground, maybe then you finance it. If you drive like a substantial amount, like maybe 25,000 miles a year, then maybe you finance it. If you know that you're going to buy it and mod it right from the start, then maybe you finance it. Now, a lot of my videos are really, really clear cut. Like there's a clear distinction between leasing and financing. At least for me, it's really black and white. Like, like the EVs, like Ford F-150 Lightnings, right? Trailblazers, Mercedes EQS, any of the EVs, like they are so heavily skewed towards leasing. It's not even funny. Like it's not even a decision. Even the Toyota Tacoma, right? I did a video on that on Instagram, and leasing that truck makes a lot of financial sense. This isn't really that clear. It's a little bit more gray. So it really depends on your personal circumstances, but I did want to do this video, number one, for education purposes, so you guys can see, how I think about leasing versus financing, and then, who leasing suits and who financing suits. For my personal situation, I would still lease this BMW, even though it's over 1.5%, but I also explained the circumstances where I would finance it. But for me personally, I would lease it. But let me know what you guys would do in the comment section below. And with that, I'm going to call it a video. Thank you all for watching. And if you haven't already, please be sure to check out drivematch.com, and please be sure to check out the calculator, because this is an amazing tool. It costs about $20 a month and you get unlimited VIN pulls. So if you're shopping for a car, whether that's a BMW, a Toyota, or a Honda, or whatever, it's going to pull your base APR. It's going to pull your residual values. It's going to pull your money factors. So just with those features alone, you can save thousands of dollars over the course of your lease or the course of your finance term. And you'll know when a dealer is marking up your money factor or your APR. Not that that's a bad thing, but you have more control over what you think is a fair deal. And it just lets you structure the deals exactly like a dealership would, and really puts the ball back in your court as a consumer. So check out the Drive Match calculator. Thank you all for watching. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.